Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday's ELA lesson. My volume's up really loud, so I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit. So the story we're reading today is called Gary the Dreamer. So I want you to notice something. This is narrative nonfiction. Nonfiction means that this is based on a true story. So that means that this character actually exists. So, okay, then if it's nonfiction, who is this about? Well, notice that the author's name is Gary Soto, and this is called Gary the Dreamer. So, just by looking at those two things, I can make an inference that maybe Gary the Dreamer is about the author, Gary Soto. Our essential question is still the same. How do people from different cultures contribute to a community? So we're still following that same theme this week, talking about different cultures, how they are a part of our community, and how they influence our community. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with Gary the Dreamer. I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see this better. Gary the Dreamer by Gary Soto. I was born in April, a month when it rains and rains. Maybe this is why when I was 3 years old, I liked to open my mouth and taste rain. Also, April is when flowers bloom. Bees arrive out of nowhere. I lived in a small white house. My dog's name was Blackie. My cat's name was Boots. I had a canary just bigger than a big person's thumb. But my bird flew away when the little door of its cage was left open. So sorry, little canary, but I think it was me who left it open. So already just reading these two paragraphs, I can kind of tell that Gary is a kid whose mind is all over the place. I don't know if any of you think like this, but it seems like he's jumping from topic to topic very quickly. First, he's talking about April, the whole month of April, and it looks to me like he probably likes it because that's when he was 3 years old. And then he's talking about his dog, then he's talking about his cat, and then his canary. So I think he kind of just thinks about random things. So here's a picture of him. Looks like he's playing something, some kind of game, and here's his cat. I remember my high chair. I remember watching my parents and older brother at the dinner table. When I got a little bigger, I got to sit with them. Most mornings, I ate oatmeal sprinkled with brown sugar. The sugar was like rocket energy. I blasted out of the house, ready to play. I played tag with the neighbor kids. I played hide and seek. I played catch with oranges. In our backyard, we had an orange tree. We also had plum, lemon, and apple trees. Lucky me. Anytime I was hungry for a snack, I just went outside and picked a fruit. So I like the way he describes things. He's very creative in how he describes things. Like he's describing sugar like rocket energy. Why would he say rocket energy when your questions is about this? Well, I blasted out of the house ready to play. So try to picture what that might be like if you just blasted out of a room or blasted out of a door. I would think that means you're running out of there as fast as you can, and think about how fast rockets move. Well, that sugar is giving him this huge amount of energy to move very fast. That's what he means. I didn't have many toys. My army men were pinto beans and pebbles. I played with them in the dirt. I got dirty from playing hard. It seemed like a giant pepper shaker had sprinkled me with dust. So there he goes again with these really interesting descriptions. So if you play outside enough, you probably know that eventually, yeah, you get kind of dirty, especially if it's dusty outside. So he's describing what he looks like. It looks like someone took a giant pepper shaker and just poured it on him. That's how dirty he was. And it's kind of sad that he didn't have a lot of toys as a kid, but he made do. He didn't have little army men toys, but he used pinto beans and pebbles instead. So again, that's that active imagination. He used his imagination to pretend that these pinto beans and pebbles were actually little army men. My favorite fruit was watermelon. Mine too. After I ate a slice of watermelon, I ended up with seeds in my mouth. These seeds were my ammo to spit at my older brother. He would spit some back at me. It was sort of like fun war, like a fun war. The seeds flew all over the place. So he's comparing those watermelon seeds to ammo. What does ammo mean? It's another word, it's a shortened word for ammunition. That's kind of like bullets you shoot out of a gun. So he's comparing these seeds to little bullets that he's shooting out at his brother, which is kind of gross. Okay, so I see a picture of Gary here. Looks like he's drawing a bird. He's got his name written in big letters and all caps, all capitalized letters. In kindergarten, I learned my colors. I learned to tie my shoes and to be nice. I like to sing too. My brother said he could hear me from the next classroom. I made my first friend, Daryl. I made another friend, Jose. At recess, we went on the slide. It was like a big shiny spoon and slippery. Then we went on the swings. It was scary but fun going high and jumping out. Then we went on the monkey bars. If I fell, I never got hurt. Well, that's good that he never got hurt. So he's comparing that slide to a big shiny spoon. Probably because it's curved in the middle. In first grade, I practiced writing the alphabet. The letters were big and blocky. I wrote my name Gary, all caps. Some days my nice teacher would have to tell me, Gary, sit still. I wiggled a lot in my chair. I dreamed a lot. I was busy looking at the floor, or my hands, or out the window. Wow, could that be my canary in the tree? I couldn't pronounce some words. I couldn't say sandwich. I would say Sammy. I knew that 2 plus 2 was 4, but what was 5 plus 7? I counted out my answer on my fingers, sticky from the peanut butter and jam inside my Sammy. So he thinks he's seeing his canary outside because look, that's a little yellow canary. In second grade, we collected money to help children in Africa. They didn't have anything to eat. I collected pennies, lots of pennies. I noticed that the pennies were the same as me. You see, I was naturally brown and even browner from running in the sun. So there's a question in your assignment today about this. So the question is, why does he like collecting the pennies? And this might seem like a strange answer to you, but we're about to find out. So notice that he's talking about how the pennies are brown like he is. He says, I felt like I was giving poor Africa a piece of me. Well, why would he like collecting pennies for that reason? Well, he feels like he's helping, I think, and he feels like if he's offering a piece of himself to others to help them, then he feels like he's doing a good thing. So he feels like he likes collecting pennies because he feels like he's helping kids in another country. My classmates got taller, but I seemed to stay the same size. I still liked playing at recess. I liked dodgeball, kickball, and foursquare. I would tumble when I played soccer. I was quick. I admire people who are quick and who play fair. By third grade, I was a good reader. I loved picture books. The pages were bright and colorful as toucans, those tropical birds with long beaks. You don't know what a toucan is if you eat Fruit Loops? That bird that's on the cereal box, that's a toucan. Every week, I went to the public library. I checked out mountains of books. So I'm noticing that Gary Soto is the author of this story, and he's talking about how he's a good reader. He's talking about his active imagination. And that makes sense to me because he grew up to be an author. I was still a dreamer. Sometimes I watched ants going in and out of their holes, or I would watch water racing in the curb. The river of water carried matchsticks, leaves, gum wrappers, and those poor little ants. I rescued some of those ants. I put them carefully on my finger and set them on the cement curb. Huh, that's an interesting little thing to do. Do any of you ever rescue bugs? I know I don't. It seems to me like he's a very sensitive kid. He's in third grade like you guys are. So he cares so much about the world around him that he's willing to rescue teeny little ants from the water. They lay for a while, like weak little shadows. Then they woke up and staggered away. It was fun in third grade. I still stayed small, like those ants, I guess. I was scared of math. Poor me. Sounds like some of you. But reading was what I really liked. I read on the couch. I read in bed with carrot sticks like pencils in my hands. Hmm. So I really like how he describes things like other objects. He's comparing carrot sticks to pencils. I like to read in my favorite tree. Once, when Boots came by, I tossed a piece of bark at him. He looked around and meowed. I giggled. I tossed another piece of bark at him. This time, Boots saw me and climbed up the tree. We sat on a fat limb, the two of us. I read him a story about a bird. He licked his paws. The engine inside him began to purr. I guess Boots liked reading too. So here he is. Sorry, it's at the end of the day, so the bell's going off. So here he is reading in a tree with his cat. That's Boots. And I like how he says that there's like an engine inside of the cat, because if any of you have cats, you know what they sound like when they purr. It's like this vibrating sound. So it almost is like an engine. And they actually do like it when you read to them. On weekends, my family went to Chinatown. We bought groceries there at the Mexican store. I remember mariachis roving the street. Their sombreros were huge. You couldn't see their eyes, only their hanging mustaches. Their trumpets blared. The guitars strummed. Their violins seemed to weep. The guitarron, it's been a while since I've said any Spanish words. The guitarron thumped deeply. One time, I saw a dog dance to the mariachi music. The dog went back and forth, like he was doing the cha-cha. So this is an example of a mariachi player. See that big hat? That's called a sombrero. And there's the dog dancing. Every night, I took a bubble bath in our deep tub. The water roared from the faucet as I climbed in. The bubbles rose like mountains, no, like really pretty clouds. I scooped up the bubbles and patted them onto my face. I pretended that I had a beard. I played some of the bubbles on my head. Oh, a sombrero. I was a dreamer. I was sometimes in another world. In bed, I covered myself with 2 blankets. I thought about the day before I fell asleep. Sorry, that's the second bell. I thought about the day before I fell asleep. So tired. My legs kicked as I dreamed I was running for a touchdown and the whole school was watching me. So again, he's always imagining things. So he's taking a bubble bath and he's pretending like they're clouds, or that the bubbles on his head are a sombrero, like a hat. So just a little note about the author. Gary Soto grew up to be an author. He dreamed up ideas for more than 40 books for children and grown-ups. He shares his Mexican-American culture through his poems and stories. So, yeah, this story is about someone who grew up to be an author. And as you can see, he has a very, very active imagination, which is totally necessary if you're writing stories for people. Okay, guys, so make sure you answer the questions that come along with this story and submit on its learning.